Hi, this is Sue Jackson, here with a Friday Reads, an October spooky season Friday Reads. As you can say, I put up a few decorations for the occasion, although I'm kind of behind. This is all the Halloween decorations I've gotten out. Just my little recording corner. Just a little bit behind because we just got back from a lovely vacation in upstate New York. I'm from New York and I love the state, and especially in the fall. And we sampled its varied treats last week. Waterfalls and gorges, fall foliage, islands in the river, this fabulous waterfront campsite, a lake that normally is probably beautiful, but was half dry because of a severe drought that's going on in New York State. I've just started uploading my videos from the trip. You can already see the first one. Each one focuses on a different fabulous state park in New York, and they're all really short, so I encourage you to check those out. The first one went up a couple days ago. It's about Letchworth State Park in Western New York, one of my favorite places in the world, so check that out. So that's why I'm a little bit behind with my Halloween decorating, but I do have my Nancy Drew earrings on for the occasion, and I'm here to tell you what I've been reading. First, I am still enjoying RIP season. That's Readers Imbibing Peril, a fun reading event that I've done every year for over a decade. It's in its 20th year, so this is RIPXX this year. So you just use that hashtag. It's run out of Instagram. Anyone can join the fun. Just use the hashtag. Their Instagram account is @PerilReaders. So check that out and join the fun. So all of my books in September and October are darker things. And you define that for yourself. For me, that means mysteries, thrillers, dystopian, things like that. I just posted my September reading wrap-up, in which I combined RIP season with Shorty September. And that worked so well. I read and listened to a record number of books in September and enjoyed them all, so check that out, including several classics. And I just yesterday found out about another reading event in the fall that fits perfectly with the way I read in fall, and that is TBR Harvest, hosted by Leanne, the TBR 0. I think that's her account. I'll make sure I got that right. And I'll link down below. So Leanne's made up some really cute graphics to go with it. It's pretty complicated, but she said you can do as little or as much as you want. So I'm going the easy route. So she's got here a pumpkin patch with different prompts on the pumpkins. If you want, the colors can mean something. I'm kind of ignoring that. She's also got this scavenger hunt kind of thing. Tombs and Tomes. Cute little graphic there. And there's a checklist to go with it with 31 different prompts for covers. So the Tombs and Tomes part is all about the covers of your books. You can check off any books you've read that fit the prompt on the day that you started reading them. Or you can just use it as a scavenger hunt. Look for books in your house that fit the cover prompts. I'm going to do a mix of both. And she's also got a whole bingo thing that involves other booktubers. So check it all out at Leanne's channel. And of course, I am still involved in the Book Cougars Year of Reading Ghost Stories and their Ghost Story Bingo. So I started my October off. We were camping and I wasn't feeling well. I've been in like a 2.5 week so far relapse of my chronic illness. So lots of reading time while we were camping. There were whole days when I did nothing but lay in my lounge chair, look at beautiful views and read my books. And my first October book was a perfect pick for camping. It's called Burn by Peter Heller. Love Peter Heller. We've got a whole bunch. Let me see. There's a couple back up here. The Guide and The Last Ranger. He writes a lot of outdoor thrillers, which my husband and I love. Besides those two, also The River and Celine, which my husband hasn't read yet, but I loved. That's how I was introduced to Peter Heller. He was a Booktopia author with Celine, and I've loved his books ever since. He writes beautifully about nature, but also really tense, suspenseful thrillers. Burn is a little bit of a departure because it's an apocalyptic outdoor thriller. So it's got all those same elements. He's well known for beautiful nature writing, lots of tension and suspense. But what's happened here is entirely different. This is not something of natural causes. So two best friends, Jess and Story, they've been friends since childhood. They grew up in Vermont together, and every fall they go out on a hunting trip. This year they chose northern Maine, and if you've ever been to the far reaches of northern Maine, it's wilderness. We've been to Baxter State Park up there. We've gone backpacking up there. Canoe camping, back in the days before I got sick and before kids. But it's beautiful up there, but very rugged and wild. And so that's where Peter has set this story. So Jess and Story come out of the woods after 5 days of hunting together to find that the world has changed. They get in their car. They're not done with their trip, but they're planning to move to a different spot. They had hoped to hunt moose, and they haven't seen too many yet. So they get in their car and they start driving. And there are a lot of rivers and streams up that way, and they find that every single bridge they come to has been destroyed, is gone, blown up, set fire to, gone. So they start out on foot with their packs. Luckily, since they were camping and backpacking, they've got all the equipment they need. And they come to a town and see that every single building in the town has been burnt to the ground. And what's even stranger is there are no people. There aren't even bodies lying around. They eventually do find a couple of bodies here and there, but they don't know what happened to all the people. They don't know what happened to this town. And they come to another town and it's the same. So that's the setup for this very suspenseful, tense, it's not post-apocalyptic, it is apocalyptic. They're in the middle of whatever is going on, and they don't know what it is. There's no cell service. There's been a total media blackout for some reason. That's the setup here. And it makes for a gripping read. I could not put this book down. I was so glad I was reading it while we were camping because I have much more reading time when I'm camping, and especially when I'm not feeling well. And I just blew through this book. Turns out, oh, I'm not going to give any spoilers at all, but this book is extra creepy because with what's been going on in our nation recently, you can see something like this potentially happening. So excellent, excellent book, Burn by Peter Heller. On my brand new TBR Harvest pumpkin patch, I crossed off hot or cold. A lot of fire in this book. It's certainly hot. I crossed out under 300 pages. And a book that scares you, because even though I'm reading a lot of dark stuff this fall, this scares me in a real way, not in a fictional way. Also, I started it on October 1st, and it does have some black on the cover. She explained that it doesn't have to be all black, but just some black. as I've been doing this fall, I then, in between books, inserted some short stories from 3 different collections I'm working on. The Penguin Book of Ghost Stories, from Elizabeth Gaskell to Ambrose Bierce, selected by Michael Newton. You'd think I'd know that subtitle by heart by now. I read a couple of these while we were away, and then another one before I started my next book a couple days ago. So on vacation, I read Green Tea by Sheridan Le Fanu, who was apparently a very popular author back in the day. It was a really creepy one. It's a longer story than many in the collection. Really creepy one about a minister who's haunted and him trying to make some sense of what's been happening to him. I enjoyed that one. And then just yesterday, I read The Ghost in the Cap'n Brown House by Harriet Beecher Stowe. There are a lot of famous authors in here who we still know today as classics. Again, as many of these are, it's focused on potentially a haunted house and what the different people in the town think about what they've seen, what they think is happening. So that was good. And I've never read anything by Harriet Beecher Stowe, so I enjoyed that. I've also been working my way through 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart by Jenna Rose Nethercott. This is kind of fantasy, fairy tales. She was a Booktopia author, so that's when I started this, Booktopia 2024. Not my usual kind of thing, but she was a very entertaining speaker at Booktopia. I mean, she didn't just speak, she performed, and it was wonderful. So for me, because I'm not a big fantasy reader, some of these hit differently than others. This last one that I just finished, The War of Fog, I really liked. It is, I suppose, fantasy, but it plays with time, which if you've seen my channel before, you know is a favorite theme of mine in books. So that was surprising, and I enjoyed reading it. And the creepiest of all, Haunted New Orleans, Southern Spirits, Garden District Ghosts, and Vampire Venues, retold by Bonnie Stewart. So yes, these are not fictional ghost stories. These are real people's, modern people's experiences of ghosts in New Orleans. And I used to live in New Orleans. My husband and I lived there in the late 80s. We still love to go visit, so I'm very familiar with this city. I am loving this book. Wow. The first section is all about haunted hotels, and this is some eye-opening stuff. I've never experienced anything like this in New Orleans. There's haunted hotels and houses. So I just read the most recent chapter in that. Very spooky. And the things that, you know, people, it's about either locals or tourists on vacation who have these experiences. Really, really good. If you are interested in nonfiction about ghosts, this is outstanding. And now, just last night, I started The Splinter Effect by Andrew Luddington. This may look familiar because my husband just read it, I think in August, so I couldn't wait to pick it up. I gave it to him for Father's Day in June. It was recommended by the booksellers at Northshire Books in Manchester, Vermont. They're the ones that host Booktopia every May. I bought it based on their recommendations, and he did enjoy it, but I also knew I was going to love this book. Isn't it great to buy a gift for someone else that you can enjoy? Yeah, so the idea here is it's set in the present day, but time travel technology is a real thing. And so archaeologists are called chronoarchaeologists, travel back through time to try to save artifacts that they know were otherwise lost to history. So in the opening chapters here, the main character, a sonochronologist who works for the Smithsonian named Rabbit Ward. He's back in the 1st century at the burning of the Great Library of Alexandria. And his mission is to save 6 scrolls that contain plays of Sophocles that we know existed but were destroyed in this fire. So this is the idea. So they're not really changing time at all, which if you're an aficionado of time travel, as I am, that's a big thing, that you're not supposed to do anything to change the future. That's what the splinter effect is all about. But what happens right in the first pages here is that another time traveler shows up, and the fire has already started, and she's threatening to burn all the scrolls that contain Sophocles' plays unless Rabbit agrees to split them with her. So he has no option. He agrees. He still thinks he can manage to save all of them. But then he gets back to modern time. He digs up the spot where he had hidden them in a glass enclosure so they'd be protected, and finds that she was there first and took, as promised, her half, 3 of the scrolls. So he was supposed to come back with 6 plays of Sophocles, and he only came back with 3. So there's a big scandal here. And there's also talk, because this has happened, and it's not the first time this thief has interfered with Rabbit's work in recent days. There is talk of the biggest mistake of his career, which he wishes he could forget about, where 20 years ago, he was trying to save the menorah of the Second Temple. He had kind of a trainee along, kind of against his will. He was the son of some of the big donors to the project. And he lost both the menorah and the trainee. This has just ripped him apart ever since. He feels terrible about it. And he sees the possibility of a chance to try to rectify, to try to find the menorah at least. He assumes the trainee is dead. With their time travel technology, you cannot return to the same place and time that you've already been, which again is a basic tenet of time travel. You can't have 2 of you in the same place at the same time. So that's the setup here. I've only read 35 pages so far, and it is already outstanding. I stayed up way too late last night. Like I said, I haven't been feeling well. I should have gone to bed much earlier, but it is so good already. Can't wait to read more. On audio, as I mentioned in my September reading wrap-up, I finished The Ghost and Mrs. Muir while we were on vacation. And then I kind of took a break from audiobooks. I was catching up on podcasts, listening to the Book Cougars and some of my other favorite podcasts. But last night, I started a new audiobook, also for the RIP season. This is a YA novel called Best of All Worlds by Kenneth Apple. When my son was a middle schooler and later elementary school age kid, we read a bunch of his books, and I reviewed some of them for Family Fun magazine. One of my son's favorite series of Kenneth Apple's is a series about bats that starts with Silverwing. And I read that as well, reviewed it for Family Fun. We both loved it. He got into that series at about the same time he got into the Warriors series by Aaron Hunter, which is about cats. Went through, in fact, I combined the 2 in my Family Fun review as Bats and Cats. Great books, both series. I think I also listened to Kenneth Apple's Airborne on audio. So I know he's a can't-miss author. This one is very weird so far. It's billed as like mystery thriller, maybe some horror, I'm not sure yet. And like I said, I just started it last night. So there's this teenage boy, he's at his family's cabin with his dad, his stepmom. I think his sister is with them. His older brother stayed home. And they went to bed in the cabin that they've had for a long time. Big lake right behind it. And woke up to find they were in a completely different place. The lake is gone. They're in the middle of a farm. There are no roads, no driveway even. It's bizarre. You can see from that cover, it shows their cabin upside down. So no idea where this is going, but I definitely trust the author, and I think it'll be a good fit for RIP season. Just briefly, my husband is reading The Spider by Lars Kepler. I got this one also for Father's Day for him. Another Northshire Books purchase from when I was there for Booktopia. I didn't realize when I bought this, it's book 9 in a series. But like most thriller series, you can jump in the middle. You may have missed some of the character development that happened along the way, but you know, he said he hasn't had any problem with it. He pointed out to me that Lars Kepler is actually a husband and wife author team. It is a Swedish thriller. So, oh, my husband's past the halfway point now. He also read more while camping. And while we were reading last night before bed, he commented to me, you know, for a peaceful country, Sweden seems to have a lot of really twisted killers. So he's enjoying that so far. Our son, who's 31, the fantasy lover, he just finished reading A Crown for Cold Silver by Alex Marshall. He said he enjoyed that one. So that's what we've been reading this week. I would love to hear what you're reading. Please let me know in the comments down below.